Hi folks, welcome back to Game Geeks. I'm your host, Kurt Wiegel. Today's episode, Daring Tales of Adventure. This is pulp role-playing adventures for the Savage Worlds system. Regular viewers will know I became a big fan of Savage Worlds some time ago, round about the time I read The Explorer's Guide and Solomon Kane. I was sold then. I reviewed several Savage Worlds products since then, most recently including Sundered Skies, which is a really interesting, quirky take on a fantasy setting. Now, folks, this is really fun. This is not a quirky take. This is straight up pulp role-playing. Very much Indiana Jones, The Mummy. You could put the Shadow in there, much less Doc Brass, much less of the really high-energy magic pulp, although that's in here too. This is by Triple Ace Games. Now, they have sort of started licensing out some Savage Worlds stuff. They've done these. They're doing Daring Tales of Chivalry, which is sort of adventures for a less lower magic, more medieval style fantasy game. What do these bring to the table for you? Well, these are really good pulp adventures. The first one is To End All Wars, which deals with poisons and a blimp, chaos in Crete with the Minotaur, and then you've got The Treasure of the Templars, Web of the Spider Cult, The Talons of Lo Peng. So really, what this does is it drags you into these pulp adventures. But what this company has done well is they've sort of given you some pre-established characters for this, and they sort of write these assuming that you're running those characters. But one of the really sexy things they've done is that each one of these adventures raises you up a level up in the Savage Worlds game, and they've already pre-assigned what some of those level ups can be. So if you're a really lazy player in GM, you can just say, okay, I want to play with those characters, and I'm going to just take their level up. Do you have to go with it? No, you certainly don't. But it sort of gives it to you. If nothing else, it's a good example of how to use the level up system in Savage Worlds, which is slightly different than what you might be used to if you're a standard level-based player, to build your character. Each one of these has what you'd expect in a good pulp game. It takes you to interesting locales. It gives you nefarious villains to defeat, which may or may not get away. It gives you high-octane chases. It gives you daring, nail-biting climaxes. If you want a good pulp game, now I have trouble coming up with ideas for a pulp game. If you want a good pulp game and you want adventures sort of either jumpstart your ideas or use these straight out of the box, this is a great resource for you to tap. These are individually available as PDF documents from AAAcegames.com. You can find out how to buy them there. They're each very reasonably priced. For example, the Talons of Lo Peng are $7, and it's a full adventure, several nights for you and your players to have, possibly a full month of fun. Great value there. And each one gives a slightly different mechanical twist or spin on the Savage Worlds system you want. Interesting new rules for chases, for example. If you want pulp adventure, you want to use Savage Worlds, and I'd recommend you do, this is a great game for you to get on board with. Interestingly, they're starting to come up with some dual stat systems for this using the Ubiquity system from Hollow Earth Expedition, which we reviewed earlier on. So if you're a Hex fan and you want to do some good pulp game, then you can start getting on board with some of these as well. For Game Geeks, I'm your host, Kurt Wiegel. Good day and good gaming.